start the episode at a random point and cut to a different one halfway through.
Podcasts don't need openings.
No,
of course not.
I mean, they do, but this one doesn't. This one needs...
Hello, welcome to the Mishmash Show!
This one needs... this one needs, like, 50 milligrams of Xanax. That's what this...
See, we're under the assumption that everyone has watched every single episode of our podcast, so they don't need any further explanation.
Oh, I'm not. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes no. They're here for Mish. They're here for Mish. They're not here for us. They're here for Mish.
Yeah,
this is the Core show.
300,000 people.
I love Core.
You know every single subscriber watches every single episode, every single show they're subscribed to. We got 300,000 people here for Mish.
I will turn this into a Core episode. I'll just explain the basics of Core lore to everyone.
That'll take like 48 hours.
No, it won't. No, you can explain Core in like about 15 minutes, 10 if you're properly going for it.
I mean, there's more lore than that, but a lot of it is there's a good amount that's like not canon anymore. I mean, there's some crazy stuff that I've gotten.
I got a question for you that's relevant to this.
Yes.
Canonically, do the Core make love?
Yeah, and they birth in litters, so that's why they're able to keep up. Yep.
Are they like cats where you can have multiple dads in one litter?
No. Basically, well, they are. I believe they do have just. I mean, they're mammals and they're very to the point. They just like. I mean, it's a World War I like setting. So
I wonder if we rule 34 to Core.
Yeah, let's drop that like a hot.
I'm going to go do it. I'm going to go do it.
One more important question then. Speaking of that, could I make love with the Core?
She'd probably pull your eyeballs out and squish them like sparrow eggs.
See, Moots manages to get with some fine Core lady, realizing they've got the fucking like hyena treatment going on down there.
Oh no, they hate anything that's not like Core. I don't think if a Core saw an alien, or a little bit probably. Core beat the shit out of each other all the time just for. But they also
war-pilled? Question mark.
Yeah,
it sounds like you're just describing the Core like they're Klingons.
Kind of. I mean, okay. You want me to actually do like a basics? I could do that for you.
Yeah, we can open this episode with a Core explanation. Sure. We'll do the model. We'll do the models of the week in a minute.
Hold up, by fucking. I forgot fucking clangers exist. I don't remember fucking clangers.
The fuck is this?
That's what they called the battle droids in Clone Wars.
Do you guys not know the clangers?
No, those are clankers.
There's no way.
I know. I'm just being a...
They live on the moon and they communicate through songs and little whistles.
The clangers are like alternative universe Core if the Core weren't like hell-bent on genocide.
No, they're not genocidal. I'll bring it down. We'll break it down for you. Okay. So we got the Core's world. It's called Allwood. Now the Core, their whole belief system is that they don't have gods. They don't have anything like that. Their belief is they believe in Allwood, the planet, because the planet itself is kind of a mystical. It's not
like the Dark Crystal. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's one of Mr. Core's biggest influences is Dark Crystal. So
that checks out.
They love the world. It provides everything they need. Most of their medicine is kind of Eastern-like. They rely on the planet, so they, like, one of the biggest laws that they have is no destruction of property or destroying the world. But the only other thing beyond that is they worship their ancestors. And even though they're constantly at war with one another and killing each other, they still have the belief that all Core are equal and that you are to respect the dead, even if you hate them for what they are still Core at the end of the day. Most of them carry around pocket change specifically to pay for one another's funeral services for proper burial. So they are very they are hateful, but they are not disrespectful. They at the end of the day, in kind of a roundabout way, I'll provide an image for this. All Core are brothers in one way or another. So the idea is like, basically, I mean, they do breed in litters. That's how they keep up the war effort. There's actually a lot of oddly enough, the VR game that does exist that has.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, well, the way it worked out is that they had to make a VR game, and they're like, "Oh shit, we have to do VR. What do we have? I have this little war game that I have because the guy that created Core, is technically the owner of Steelwool Studios. Although he doesn't go into the office anymore, not for a while. But so you can't blame him for a security breach. That's all on the other guys. But yeah, a lot of their one of the spats from the game is you learn that all of your litter mates are dead because your squad made up. You are the last of all of your brothers, and I guess technically there's not a lot of female core that end up fighting on the front lines beyond some of the other armies. And apparently this is something I learned recently. I already knew this about the female core, but I'm just saying this for Josh if he listens, so he knows I'm paying attention. Female core are known as Dynas. Male core are known as Bucks. So that's another little thing they are mammals. They're not reptiles. I said they were reptile-like aardvarks in my first video. They are not reptiles. They just have blue and green and yellow and orange and red and purple skin.
I mean, yeah, the Buck name makes sense when you look at that little picture of them holding each other's shoulders. That man on the right is packing. I don't know if you can see that. That man is packing heat.
I love the Creven. The Creven looks so like they're just such nerds. Like they're dressed like freaking SpongeBob. And look at that firearm. Look at that thing.
A whole bird leg in there. Jesus.
All right, I'm just gonna keep spamming Crevish posts until you get that out of your system. Okay, that one on the right is not helping me. It's more of a gunt than anything. Oh wait, no, I can't bring that up. Maybe I shouldn't bring that up. There is back when Anthony Sequoia who now works for Pixar, is one of the like very higher up folk there. He used to do a lot of the old drawings. Yeah. And we did digging, so this is his art style for one reference. But there is an image that he drew anatomically or a correct core, and let's just say that there's a reason they're angry all the time.
No. I need you to elaborate. I don't understand what that means. They have like really big nads.
Don't understand, man.
No, they got really little whiners.
Oh, they got the little ones. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Terribly unfortunate, but sometimes that's just how it goes.
I mean, I'd be pissed off too. So I get it.
Well, it could be. You could take the Greek philosopher approach. They could have competitions over like who's is the smallest. Like the smaller the better, and then there's one guy who's just got the nubbin.
That still threw me off to all hell when I was in Istanbul and I visited the Museum of Archaeology, and they had this like bust of a philosopher, and part of the bust, like further down on the thing, like was like just an imprint of his fucking dick. It's like, what the fuck?
It's kind of a power move.
It really is. Yeah. Like, yeah. No, that was my addition to the conversation. I wanted y'all to think about this.
Well, now we have these wonderful core facts fresh in our mind. Shall we move on to our models of the week?
All right, that's what we're
doing. So many more as time goes on.
All right, post all of these again in the reference image chat, my boy.
Oh yeah, the core images. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
So our first model of the week was chosen by Aaron. It's from a user called Ed. This is, I think, like the third time we've shown off Ed in as many months. Really? So yeah, so we're gonna have to because I think Moots picked him once. I think Zarek picked him once, and now you've picked him.
Oh, well, for good reason. Look at
this guy's getting a shitload of love. But this is a kit-bashed Ogre mercenary of some variety.
Yeah, it looks fucking tasty.
It looks cool as fuck.
It's just so much going on. Like, damn.
It reminds me a lot about the super mutants from Fallout, actually.
Yeah,
I see that.
It's very impressive. Like everything just works really well, nice. Like just works really nice. It looks like a legit model.
He's made a sick looking version of like a Ripper gun, like the big Ogre special Ripper gun thing. That literally that double as bludgeoning weapons.
I love the chunky missile just sat on the side of it as well.
Literally, I think the Ripper gun it has like two moving parts or something to make it doable enough to deal with Ogrins using it as a melee weapon half the time. I think that's the deal with them, is they are just incredibly dense.
I have an appreciation, like the The fact that he used the Burnaboy tank on the back, connecting it with the actual, because that actually looks like a rubber tube connecting to the Mega Blasta. And I do have an appreciation for that painting style, because that's one of those art styles that I think, and I mean this in the most respectful way, it's one of those things that I think anybody can pull off well. But you take a little bit more time, and that looks. I like that gritty style. I don't know. It's the new Grimdark style.
Oh, for sure.
I'm liking that.
The skin tones are fucking immaculate.
The bleedy feet are very. It makes me like uncomfortable, but like I can tell he's just like the anger is overriding the pain receptors right now.
Yeah. No, that's an excellent model. Thanks again, Ed. We're gonna have to make a little mental note of trying not to show off Ed again in the next week or two.
Ed, if you post again, you're getting banned. Don't post this again.
So the next one was chosen by Moots, and this is from a user called Mr. Wrecked. This is apparently someone called Shartor. His name is Shart. Shartor, the Executioner from the now non-existent Chaos Dwarf range for AOS from Forge World. Sadly, the line was cancelled before Mr. Wrecked could get an army put together. He's planning on stripping him down and converting him into a demon prince for a new Chaos Space Marine warband that he's working on.
See, it's funny that there's a line, because Shartor is actually Tom's alter ego that pops up whenever he has dairy.
I am Shartor. The pole.
There he is, man.
Terrible He-Man villain, honestly.
He just
thinking of the Toilinator.
Party for the whole episode.
Remember him from Kids Next Door? That's just what I imagine. But he's like buff and ripped. Like he actually is a threat. Like he could kick your ass if he really wanted to.
But he's lactose intolerant and has just had dairy, so he just runs to the toilet. And you don't see him for like 40 minutes.
You're busy coughing up blood while he's doing that.
He's just dying from the gases he's putting out around him.
Come on, Moots, tell us why you've picked Shartor by Mr. Rex.
Well, honestly, it was just because the painting is just so fucking immaculate. We were talking about like skin tones before on the previous one. Again, this is just something that really popped out for me, like the different like the blending of the colors, the different hues and nuances, and the fucking metal. Like it's gold, but not in that terribly horrible ugly yellow. It's oxidating. It's really nice.
I think it's meant to be a brass. I think it's meant to be a really pungent brass rather than a gold necessarily, but I think it looks lovely. I can't get how cracked this model is. Looking at its like behind thing, it's like its rear legs are so diddy. They're so small.
Tiny legs. It's got like Darkest Dungeon boss proportions.
It does actually, yeah.
It does.
I think the horns and fingernails are really well done too. Like the blending on the upper horns is. I mean, the fade from that ivory to the darker recesses.
Yeah. It does a lot to make it creepy, doesn't it, as well? Like, when you look at the whole thing as a whole. And I think as well, I mean, maybe this is credit to the paint job, but credit to the model as well, how it's got a belly, but abs as well, but both are kind of twisted too. It's a very grotesque model in a more nuanced way than, say, something like a Plague Marine or a Maggot Kin. It's grotesque in a very grounded way. It's like it's sickly to look at, but kind of muscular grotesque, you know?
Yeah, like just look at its back, right? Where it's like stretching backwards, and you just see like the way that the muscles are tensing, and at the same time it just looks weird, but it looks realistic.
Yeah.
So is the power of the figure. Like the paint job makes it. I mean, he doesn't really need those weapons to kill you. I mean, you can see just how violently. I mean, he could move slightly and crush you like an egg. So it's like,
wonderful model there, Mr. Wrecked. Right, should we move on to the next one?
Yes.
No, I think we're done now. All right, so let's
turn off the podcast.
Right, the next one was chosen by Mish, and this is from a user in our Discord called Imperial 12B. Mish, would you like to tell us why you've chosen this one?
I'm going to a linky post. It still does. Oh no, that's Tom's one. Sorry, my bad.
I'm a little hooked on G1 Transformers right now. Again, I go through a kick every couple years or so.
Yeah.
And it's funny to me because when I got the Infiltrators box recently, and when I saw that head, that is exactly what I thought. That looks like Optimus's head. And this is something I've wanted to do for a while because I've always liked this. I've seen this paint style with the highlighting the edges using black and painting in like very, I mean, just it goes to show how you can really pull off a paint job just by putting paint in the right place. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just these splotches work, and especially if you're viewing for tabletop, it is very convincing, and it does look like that old G1 style. And I don't know, I like Transformers, I like Space Marines. It's basically just you're jingling keys in front of my face, and I like it.
No, it works. The little bits of scraping, the sort of pseudo NMM on it. It's a wonderful little model. And yeah, you're right. I think that the biggest strength of this model is just how much it would pop in a tabletop sort of setting. But he's done those fake scratches as well with just the darker hues and the darker colors. Edge highlighting he's done with like a darker colors as well, rather than actually highlighting them. Yeah. Almost like a minor cell shading kind of effect.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. It's some great cell shading, and it just pops. It looks wonderful. I really like this one. I'm also sort of in a Transformers mode right now. I've been eyeing a Devastator 6-in-1 Transformer.
Yeah, that's my weakness right now.
Is it?
Do I dare buy the $300 Skywarp masterpiece? Wait, no, I want Thundercracker more.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Right. Let's move on to the last model of the week, and this one was chosen by me. And this is from a long, long time user in our Discord who is also a supporter of Mish and actually a supporter of Arthur and a bunch of other creators as well. And this is a user on our Discord known as Linky. Linky had shown me this model before it had any paint on it a number of months ago. And it was essentially just a very simplistic concept. The idea was to just create a Gravis Librarian that looked like it belonged. You know, a Gravis Librarian that looked like it belonged in the setting, that didn't look too overcooked or undercooked, that just worked. Also, if you look at the chapter badge in the second image, you can also see that this is from Linky's homebrew chapter. I believe they're called the Silver Hammers. Yeah, got that right. And yes, so this is a wonderful, wonderful model. You can see in the final image the sword, the lovely, lovely, lovely shading and stuff on the sword.
Yeah.
Is absolutely impeccable. One of the things that Linky does really well is her own take on what I want to say is a heavy metal style. It's very, very reminiscent of GW's own heavy metal. I can't find it. I can't post it here, but I will just mention it. Linky showed me something they worked on a while back, and it was a Necron blade. And the Necron was perfectly fine, serviceable, whatever. But the blade, the time and effort that Linky puts into blades is absolutely monumental. Such exquisite color work, and you know, this is just another example of that. The cloak and the back in the third image, where all the different colors.
Excellent highlighting.
Yeah, well, all the different pipes as well coming into it. Even though there's no Gravis models that have pipes that just naturally fit. Linky's done it anyway. So yeah, exceptional job, Linky.
I've been getting updates on this model for the past week. So this is nothing new to me. I feel bad not saying anything, but I'm so used to seeing this. I'm so used to getting 9 messages every day from you, pinging me about your models. He's gonna drop the big rock on her head.
We're gonna talk about Linky for a minute. Isn't it weird how Linky has snuck into the personal lives of so many 40k creators?
Virus.
It's very strange. It's very strange. It's not just you and me. It's Arthur as well, and there was another one too. Linky just gets around.
We're going to LVO in January, and somehow she got into that. So now that's that's happening.
Somehow got into it.
I'm gonna whip my core at your head, by the way, as hard as I can. This is a threat.
I'm gonna bring a bag of metal cores to throw at people.
The metal ones.
You're on top of my shit list.
Let me go grab that really quick. There we go.
Oh man, so those are our 4 models of the week. Thank you very much, Linky, Ed, Wrecked, and the last guy's name I've forgotten. I'm terribly sorry. Right. Moving on to our main topic this week. We wanted to take a bit of time to discuss something a little bit silly, something that, knowing us, will turn it a little bit silly. In fact, knowing that Mish is here, we are bound to go terribly off topic. I give us about 15 minutes before we start talking about the core again. And so we wanted to talk about which characters in 40k should die next. Now, this isn't necessarily an open thing where we say these characters have to die or the setting is bad, yada, yada. It's more of an exploration, right? More of an idea about what interesting narratives could come out of characters die. I mean, I know Moots may chime up and say, no, this character has to fucking die now, and that's fine. He can say that.
You know, he can be wrong. That's fine.
He can be wrong. He might be right. Who knows? So it's an exploration. We want to look at some things and theorize some things. I know Moots has like 5 or 6 he wants to talk about. I've got like 3 I want to talk about. I'm sure all of us are going to want to talk about Dante at some point, you know. So it's like it's kind of a whatever burger. Tell you what, Moots, because you've got so many, do you want to give us one first?
All right. So here's a funny thing. When I asked you before we started recording, like, we'll never guess which ones I picked. You sort of like dead named 3 of them immediately.
Yeah, well, no, just because the 3 I named were like ones that were the right ones to go. So just a context, everybody listening, Moots was like, oh yeah, I have like 3 Space Marines, I have a Primarch, I have another whatever, a couple of others, and I said, oh, the Space Marines have got to be Dante, Calgar, and Abaddon. And it's like, yeah, of course.
That's too easy, man.
Well, I mean, it's fine. They're all perfectly good picks because they've all lived so long and have had so much stories. They're in a place now, narratively speaking, all 3 of them, where if they were in any other narrative, it would be okay to kill them off. The setting wouldn't be made lesser for them dying now, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's sort of why I picked Marneus Calgar. So for anyone who doesn't know, Marneus Calgar is the current chapter master of the Ultramarines. He's the big blue, his big Papa Smurf after.
The guy that jumps out of the Thunderhawk in hit game Space Marine 2.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think this is the time to know who he is because everybody's playing that. So
for sure.
That's not Marneus Calgar, that's his brother Barneus Calgar.
Barneus.
I just thought of Half-Life 1 Barney. But in Calgar's suit.
I thought of How I Met Your Mother, Barney.
Mine is more powerful, so mine is overruling.
But it's like, and it's sort of just because of his appearance in Space Marine 2 that I picked him. Because I remember when I played the game and I saw him arrive, I just like, he, at that point, like he, for me, had just reached this pinnacle in point, like as a story, as a character in the setting, where he's just become a meme in of itself. Like he just appears, immediately just saves the fucking day and kicks ass, and that's it. Like he literally, for that part of the story, spoilers I guess, like he just becomes the main character. It doesn't matter that Titus is there. Like he's not the main character anymore because Marneus fucking Calgar has arrived on the scene.
The game does a really good job of building up to his arrival, and so his arrival was always going to be this huge thing, right?
Well, of course, yes.
You know, like 1 or 2 missions were just centered around getting in contact with him.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, but I think you're perfectly right with that. It's like he's in a good place where if he died now, it could be a sort of an honorable kind of death. And I don't just mean that in the normal Space Marine way. I mean that in a narrative way as an audience too. He could die and we could find that satisfying as an audience. He could go and we could be fulfilled as readers in this character and the arcs he's had to go through. And I know the ending for the Marneus Calgar comic was a bit naff. And if you're wondering, so the Marneus Calgar origin comic was actually really interesting. I really, really liked it. The ending was really silly, but generally speaking, I really liked it because it was a very good, very condensed, bite-sized version of understanding his origins, not just as a Space Marine, but as a human being. It was really, you know, so he's gone through this whole thing where we get to see his whole life through and through. Well, almost his whole life through and through. You know, he's a very, very well fleshed out character. The only thing about Marneus Calgar I don't like is that they put him in Gravis instead of Terminator armor, because he used to be in this gorgeous suit of Terminator armor, this utterly wonderful suit of Terminator armor.
And his
now
old
he's in
model.
Gravis.
Yeah, it's not the same. It's
not
not a terrible figure.
Right.
It looks cool, but it's just and I focus on this a lot, and I've talked about this a lot on my channel. But like, I know some people like to think that it's the nostalgic cope of like why I like older designs. It's not though.
No,
it's people when you. I mean, it's why people don't like. It's a main reason of why I think we could go to into the Primaris thing all we want.
Yeah,
but when you have an established character with an established profile, and now you've updated it to a point where it's like, okay, this looks like him, but this doesn't look like him. Yeah, it does kind of set off your fight or flight. Like, still looks cool. Like, I think his design, and especially, I mean, I said this about Space Marine 2 to begin with. I hated Phobos armor until I started playing Phobos.
Yeah,
and I'm like, okay, I see the vision now.
Well, I think
still not a huge fan of it, but it's still,
I think a lot of people went through that transition with Phobos and Space Marine 2. A lot of people who were into 40k beforehand, I mean, everyone who was new to 40k and got in from Space Marine 2 loved Phobos right off the bat. But you got to remember, a lot of people who've been into 40k for a couple of years or decades, even when we saw Phobos for the first time, it was like, what the fuck is this? This is like so detached from the aesthetic we've been used to for so many decades. But I think as well, the other thing you said about nostalgia goggles, you're actually in a very similar boat to Devin. In that regard, aren't you? Devin being Cracktuck, in a sense that Devin hasn't actually been in the hobby for a long amount of time, only a few years. And it was crazy to me because even though he was part of the new Primaris wave of people who were into the hobby, he was instantly attached to the older models. Instantly attached to the older Firstborn models, the older Imperial Guard models. He was just so all over it.
It's, I mean, not to bring it to core again, but I like models that have...
I said 15 minutes. 15 minutes, we're back on core. Yeah, sorry, continue.
I know it. Yeah, I can't help it. But what I say, and the reason I say this, is it's why growing up, having things that aren't as detailed inflames the imagination all the more.
Yeah.
And why older Space Marines, older figures, less detailed figures, that force you to fill in those blanks using your brush over a highly detailed figure, highly detailed design. It doesn't allow for your brain to create and fill in those blanks, both mentally and physically. And I think that is a big key factor in why I like the goofiness of it. I like 40k when there is that element of goofiness.
Yeah.
And I think with time, not only is 40k kind of losing a little bit of the grimdark element, not to the major level that I think some people say that it is, because it's still a grimdark setting.
Yeah.
But I think it's lost both a little bit of that and the absurdity of the situation at hand to a point where it's like this middle ground of like, you need that balance, and when you take both away, it becomes more bland.
Well, we were talking about that a little while ago, a few episodes ago, about the 4th edition, I think it was the 4th edition Dark Angels Codex or something like that. And how the early Dark Angels codexes are like the absolute peak of the Baroque Gregorian monk vibe that 40k Space Marines had. So deeply ingrained within its aesthetic and its language and its writings and stories. And that is pretty much gone now. That Baroque Gregorian monk thing is kind of gone in, and it's sort of been replaced with. And again, I know we're bitching a little bit here. There's nothing wrong with liking Primaris. I like Primaris. There's,
I've grown to like it a little bit more.
But I feel like what they've done with 40k, this is actually, I think this is a little bit contradictory to what you said a moment ago, and that's that I feel as though what they've done with 40k is they've made it far more imprintable now, far more easy for people to imprint their own ideas onto it, whereas I feel like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, Warhammer 40k was like, hey, here's the world you're getting into. Here's what Space Marines are like. This is how it is. And I feel like now there's a bit less of an emphasis on that. And for people who are modeling and getting into the lore, there's more of an emphasis on do what you want. And I don't hate that. I don't hate that at all. But I like it when people make what they want, and what they want still respects that older vibe as well.
I think the
different body types definitely helps.
For sure, yeah. I think the way I talked to Alex about this, or Dutch 40k gamer, is
Unsubscribe from the Gaming Storyteller.
Fuck that guy.
Is that whilst 40k used to be in this sort of dark fantasy aesthetic, it's now sort of moved more towards a high fantasy aesthetic, if that makes sense. Like
comparatively,
comparatively,
yeah. I know what you mean. It's quite hard to sort of explain the transition, isn't it? Because like Mish said, so much of the setting at its core is still very, very grimdark. But I think it's Space Marines more than anything else that's been impacted by this change.
Yeah.
Well, definitely.
I mean, they're your poster boys. They're going to have to be.
Yeah.
And that's, I don't know. I think, too, a big thing that's influenced, like, both, because it's weird. I've had this dichotomy where now I appreciate it more, but I have a very good friend that has basically indoctrinated me into getting into old world painting. Not just fantasy, but I'm now actively, like, I'm kind of setting up for the future, the channel that I want to do. I mean, I think of all the old Chaos Champion Renegades and how absolutely goofy they looked. How just that I like the dichotomy of how silly the setting used to be. And I kind of love that. And it's still there. I know the orcs are basically filling that role primarily, but I like having this element of terror mixed with like the absurdity of the situation at hand.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Maybe this is where it comes in, where I'm coping just a little bit, but
Just a little.
I don't know. I like what I like. What can I say?
Fine. That's the truth of the evening, I'd say. I like what I like.
My like for what I like is more powerful than yours, so there you go.
Well, I think in a similar vein, we should probably bring it back to the main topic.
Oh yeah, right. We're talking
about Marneus Calgar.
What are we talking about again?
Marneus Calgar. So I think this is the thing, though. I think Marneus Calgar is in a good place to be killed off, not because I don't like Marneus Calgar, but
I think we all love him.
We have so many narrative narrative excuses for him to go now. We're in a place where narratively his demise would be perfectly okay for the setting. We have Rabute Gilliman here to fill in his shoes. One of our patrons and a friend of mine gave me a funny theory they have a little while ago that based on this notion that Games Workshop wants to use Space Marine 2 as this huge like jumping off point, right? Their theory is that in one of the Space Marine 2 DLCs, Marneus Calgar is going to bite it after Titus has gone through a couple of DLCs worth of character development and is going to take over as the chapter master of the Ultramarines.
I was kind of thinking about that because I think maybe this is also storytelling and just my love for wrestling. But I think if you're going to retire an old dog, you need to use it to build up a badass heel. Like you got to make a really, like, Marneus's death needs to mean something if he is going to die. So why not use that to make just an utter motherfucker do that? Like, this is the kind of guy that you want dead because everybody loves him.
Yeah, like question mark.
Well,
not quite.
I mean, I don't know. I think nobody liked him.
No, for sure. And I mean, it's funny that you mentioned that because I mean, that would certainly change a lot about somewhat would change things quite a bit for the Ultramarines because obviously we have, I think, as far as I know, Gilliman still cares a lot about all of his sons, including Marneus Calgar, and that certainly would throw a wrench in his plans when this great mythical character bites it, and then also just have to contend with this. Well, I mean, could lead to like a power struggle or something a form of power struggle within the Ultramarines, where
in your poster boys,
in your poster boys, what is this crazy? Wow, strife. Character development.
Well, it makes it even more interesting because I think a lot of people. I mean, obviously the era of Matt Ward writing where it was basically John Cena-esque.
Yeah,
I always win. Blah blah blah. I think this is within the last few years, especially one of the big positives I've seen with the growth of its popularity is the Ultramarines have seemed to, and Gilliman has been a big part of it too. Like, Ultramarines are cool again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's. for the longest time, everybody was shitting on him because they're, they're on the box art. And look, I wish Crimson Fist were on the box art. I wish Crimson Fist were still on the decal sheet.
Yeah.
This is unrelated. But anyway, I'm not going to go on that tangent. But like, this is the time where I think, especially with this game, especially with Space Marine 2 being as popular as it is, this is like, you take full advantage of it, and I think that that could be a very, this is all hypothetical. This is what it goes to show. I'm invested in this hypothetical that might very well never, I don't think GW would have the cojones to take out, one of their greatest characters.
Yeah, well, that's kind of
lead to something great.
That's kind of well, we say that, and this is something that Zarek asked me to bring up in this episode, and that's a different character death that has both simultaneously has happened and hasn't happened, and that's none other than the Big Chungus commissar himself. Yarrick. Well, and so Yarrick is both on one hand dead, but his death is like only pseudo confirmed. So it's really difficult because he's such a beloved character. And this is the crazy thing, like, take a list of all the 40k characters, and it's like, who do you want to die? Who could die? Whose death would be beneficial to the narrative? I don't think many people would pick Yarrick, and it's fun looking at all of the Gazgul memes, the Gazgul kills Angron memes. Those are all good and dandy. But until someone turns that into a great Xenos versus Chaos story where everyone's rooting for the Xenos, it doesn't really matter because GW aren't going to cash in on the narrative value of what killing Yarrick could equate to. Then it doesn't really matter that they've killed Yarrick. In fact, killing Yarrick is, well,
it's got to mean something.
Yeah, and it doesn't. It doesn't mean anything at the moment. It's just, it was like, it almost feels like a throwaway, which isn't great. At least with Creed, when Creed died, Creed didn't die. He's been put in the forever box, which is narratively speaking, is a death. Mm-hmm. It was a death that had something behind it because it was at the peak of the fall of Cadia, whereas Yarrick almost by comparison feels like an off-screen kind of death.
Yeah.
It's so silly. 6 feet from the edge and thinking.
There's a key difference in, again, I don't want to bring it back to wrestling or whatever, but when it comes down to it, if you're going to you need to have meaning behind, story elements like that. And I know I've had some people tell me, it's like, have you ever seen the first Transformers movie, the original, 80s?
You get the touch.
Well, all these beloved characters, Optimus dying in the first 15 but dying in the first 15 minutes with instruments of destruction. Ironhide, who is a beloved character, just getting his head blown off. You need to have meaning because and I know some people try to make the idea of like, oh, well, it's realistic. Sometimes heroes just die. It's fictitious. Shut up.
Well, I think that's a problem. I know this is going off topic, but that's a problem argument because it goes against the whole point of a story narrative. People don't read stories to read realism. That's what the news is for.
Yeah, exactly.
If you want escapism, I think the only time that realism is helpful in escapism if it's interactive escapism. You know what I mean? Like an escape room or going to an airsoft day or fucking actually getting in a fight with someone. A spar with someone. Really bad, or sparring with someone, that's escapism that's realistic. But if we're talking about actual storytelling and you want your storytelling to be realistic, it's like obviously we can use levels of realism to tell stories, to help ground stories, to ground settings. That's a good one. I know a lot of military novels, and it's quite funny because a lot of the Imperial Guard novels use generic military novels as kind of a framework for how they're done, and it works really, really, really well. But you got to remember that 40k is an extremely unrealistic setting. No one's expecting anyone to turn around like, oh, Transformers. Transformers realism? How about no? No one's expecting that. No one wants that. No one's tuning in to watch giant robots who can transform into tanks and Lamborghinis, beat the piss out of each other, just for someone to turn around and say, his death was realistic because in battle sometimes people die. No one's fucking here for that.
Yeah, that's about what I hear in my head when I hear that.
Going off. Sorry,
such a Prime died for a reason. He protected Sam. It was all worth it. I swear, God.
I don't mean to go off on an angry tangent. It's just such a silly argument, I like stories. I like reading stories. I like writing stories. And to be like, it's not realistic. It's like, okay. Do you turn on the Discovery Channel and find a good story to sink your teeth into?
They're
Do you
kind of
like David Attenborough and think, wow, what a wonderful narrative this is?
Like I like the David Attenborough. I like learning about the zebra lore.
Oh yeah,
zebra lore.
What we're saying is if you disagree with us, I'm gonna beat that bitch ass. How about that?
Yeah, I suppose I can try and gain some points back and preface this after the event that you're allowed your own opinion and your opinion is valid.
It's also stupid.
I didn't say that.
You're stupid.
I didn't say that. I thought that. I didn't say that.
We're all pointing. No. We got to be direct.
Oh, really? Okay. Sorry. Go on. Continue.
Oh no, that's it. Just
no, that's it.
I'm gonna hurt you. We're gonna pull your fingernails out with pliers, and I'm gonna yell at you.
Oh damn!
But I think
that's the part.
I think if we're talking about like characters where all right, let's say we wanted a character who would reasonably be fucking dead now, who we can realistically look at and go, okay, well, because we could kill Marneus Calgar for narrative reasons, or we could kill Yarrick for silly reasons. But if you want a character who can die, who should die for a realistic reason, look no further than this is one of the ones that I wrote down. Maybe you had this one, Moots, maybe, but look no further than Bjorn.
Yeah.
Bjorn has been around for so long, and he's like, I think the most special thing about Bjorn isn't the fact that he's so old or that he met the Emperor or any of that other jazz. I think it's that he has mostly survived the insanity of being a dreadnought. I think Bjorn is actually, and it's kind of a problem as well, especially from I'm going to talk about homebrewing, gentlemen. We're going to talk about homebrewing very briefly.
What?
I'm terribly sorry.
Lord,
so one of the big
Astartes anonymous.
I know. I'm sorry. One of the pitfalls that people have, I see commonly with Space Marine homebrews, is everyone is desperate to have a Bjorn type character in their homebrew. And again, if you're homebrewing casually and you don't, if you're homebrewing casually, it's fine. No one minds. It's whatever. But if you're a hardcore homebrewer and you're in hardcore like homebrewing circles, the idea of making your chapter, which is everyone else's chapter, so everyone has a fucking Space Marine chapter, have a Bjorn type character is really undersells what Bjorn is, and it even more importantly, it really undersells what dreadnoughts are. Dreadnoughts are a one-way ticket to being driven insane. That is what dreadnoughts are. Bjorn is like such an outlier. You catch Marines who've been in a dreadnought for a tenth of the time as Bjorn, and they're absolutely mad as hell. Bjorn is just built different. He is built different. He is built different amongst people who are built different. Yep. And so it's like, and I think it's kind of come back to Bjorn biting it as well. Because we're in a place now where I'm of the belief that the next loyalist Primarch to come back is going to be Leman Russ. I don't think anyone could convince me that there's another Leman Russ, that another loyalist Primarch would come back before Russ would.
Yeah, he makes the most sense.
If you want to talk about narrative timings for characters to bite it, this would be great. And we already know that GW are rotating out those old models, yeah. So if you want to rotate out Bjorn's model, which they're going to do soon, the next couple of years, it's going to suck, but we know they're going to do it. A good way to sort of have that fit in narratively would be time it with the return of Leman Russ, make the two of them have one last moment together, and have Bjorn die a heroic death, rotate out his model.
Last final stand against Thousand Suns or something like that.
And because it's Bjorn, because he's a dreadnought, as opposed to Marneus Calgar, because Marneus Calgar could die it's like almost like what you were saying, Mish. You could introduce the death of Marneus Calgar. Sorry, you could have Marneus Calgar's death be the introduction of a really big bad, a new big bad, someone to really shake the table. But Bjorn's doesn't need to be that. Bjorn's death could actually be that true heroic death, because being a dreadnought, especially being Bjorn, the epitome of the dreadnought, is the noble last stand. It is the duty until death, or duty beyond death. And I could see a wonderful narrative there. Bjorn having a final moment with his father and then dying. And that's one of the things that take about homebrewing one final time. Writing deaths when you're homebrewing is just the best. Killing off your characters is the best. And I think GW should be less afraid of killing off their characters, because I love Bjorn. I think Bjorn's great. He's like one of only like 2 Space Wolves that I actually really like.
Well, that's the thing. That's what I was thinking this whole time. Like,
yeah,
weird, and I don't know if it's just my bubble. I know 0 Space Wolf players, and I think like that kind of thing. That's how you leverage a good death, is getting people to be interested in an army that. Again, maybe it's just me. I don't know any Space Wolf players. So that's how you leverage an army that maybe doesn't sell as well, is you have an actual narrative element that gets people interested in it.
Yeah.
I think Space Wolves do sell well, and I think people do like Space Wolves, but Space Wolves, it's clear to me that Space Wolves are more popular amongst 40k lore enthusiasts than they are popular with 40k modeling or player enthusiasts. Yeah, so like even if you don't play the game and you model, you're still less likely to be a Space Wolf. I don't know. I think it's because what's that word you've coined, Moots?
Which one?
about individuals not of Scandinavian descent who are desperate to absolve Scandinavian culture into their
right. Yes, I have coined the term Scandinavus as
Scandinavus. So as we all know, Moots here is very of that region.
I am very Swedish. Yes.
And it's this notion that I think it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's the reason why Assassin's Creed Valhalla sold so well. Because, like, oh god, I'm about to get in trouble for dogging on Assassin's Creed, but it's Assassin's Creed.
Assassin's Creed hasn't been good in years, and nobody cares.
No,
okay, I won't say it. You said it, so I won't have to. But the thing is, the Assassin's Creed games are surviving now on thematics alone, and Valhalla survived on thematics alone because so many people, as soon as they see anything even remotely Nordic, they're just like their pants are ripped off and they're jumping at it.
All the neurons are just activated immediately.
Yeah, and in 40k, the Space Wolves are the embodiment of that, aren't they? They're just absolutely the embodiment of that. Oh god, did we devolve into dogging on the Space Wolves again?
We're getting there.
I'd say we've been pretty good about it so far. We haven't like outright said something horrendously bad about them. So
last episode we were absolutely ruthless to them.
Yeah, people weren't happy about that in the comments. I saw.
No,
I'll distract.
What was the comment? It was like, "Oh, this is the first time I've left a dislike on an AA video because of all the Space Wolf hate or something like that." It's like you haven't watched many AA videos, then.
Yeah,
but no, I think big credit to the Space Wolves and to Bjorn and to Lehman Russ and Logan Grimnar as well. I love Logan Grimnar; he's such a silly character.
He really is.
But well, I think his death now in the setting would be another really great turning point for the Space Wolves, because I feel like with the Lion and the Dark Angels and the Lion's Return, the reintroduction of the Fallen Marines, the Fallen into the Dark Angels ranks after reading Son of the Forest, you could almost see an inverse effect kind of happen with the Space Wolves, because there's no one to reintroduce, right? Not unless they wanted to bring back the Wolf brothers, which isn't going to happen because they all did. They're very dead.
Wolf.
Did you know about the Wolf brothers?
No, not the slightest.
Oh, great. Okay, quick lore dump. The Wolf brothers were the Space Wolves' attempt at making a successor chapter.
Oh, this ones went super ooga booga, right?
Yes, they did. So before Primaris, the Space Wolves couldn't have successors, not because they didn't want to. They did want to. There was a wonderful passage I read somewhere about Lehman Russ dreaming of an empire that could match Macragge, all of Fenrisian blood or something like that. But then the problem was that as soon as the Space Wolves tried to do it, they made a successor chapter called the Wolf Brothers, and they all went insane. They all just turned into mutated things and fell to chaos. I think there's even a Wolf Brother amongst the Red Corsairs, which is a fun one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the reason why there was no Space Wolf successors until Primaris, because Primaris stabilized the GNC to a point where they could have successors. So fun little tidbit there if you didn't know about your Wolf Brothers lore. So that, the Space Wolves aren't complete crap.
No, it's funny you say that, because the one of my picks is literally Logan Grimnar.
Oh, really?
We should fucking go. The guy hasn't done anything significant in years. Neither has the Space Wolves recently at all. Give them some fucking flavor. Kill off Santa Claus on his wolf sledge. Send him out dramatically. Give the Space Wolves a good name somehow again. And have someone cool come in as chapter master and give them some more significance.
I don't know why. When you send him out dramatically, like, I didn't think of like something cool. I just imagine him flying on his fucking reindeer sled and just getting shot down by a fucking missile or something.
Playing in South Park, Santa gets shot down in the Middle East.
No, the thing that came to mind for me was that wrestler dude riding a crocodile into the volcano.
Oh, from Despicable Me, fucking El Macho, yeah.
El Macho, that's it. Let me put that in the fucking references. El Macho.
I don't know why I know that. I've seen that movie once.
It's a good movie.
But isn't that funny? Like, because even though we can sit here and we can chat shit about Space Wolves,
there it is. Just do that. Give him this treatment. Give him something sick, fucking awesome, and then have I guess what's it called? Russ, that's him. Come back, see his dude is dead, and they can progress from there.
but this is kind of a testament to what you can do with a character death, because even though we can sit here and spend days on end just chatting bare shit about the Space Wolves for either thematic reasons or for reasons that aren't very good in general, it tells you an awful lot what can happen if you commit to a dramatic character death or two, because now we've just mentioned 2 Space Wolves back to back, and it's like, okay, these both could be huge shakeups for the Space Wolves. Those 2, along with the reintroduction of Liam and Russ, and it's like suddenly huge narrative.
It gets you to care.
Changes are like not even just changes, but advancements are now on the cards for the Space Wolves, and it's like, wow, okay. Suddenly, people who don't like the Space Wolves, like me, are suddenly asking, "What's next for the Space Wolves?" That's interesting. Yeah. And so a character death can be a hugely, hugely positive thing. Maybe they could actually like fucking do the Space Wolf fans really dirty, and then reintroduce Lehman and kill him.
That would be
reintroduce him in a novel, and he dies like 2/3 of the way into
He
the
slips
novel.
on a banana peel.
Yeah.
He falls down the palace stairs and breaks his neck or something.
It's a really embarrassing death, like his undies get snagged on something and everybody sees.
I told myself I wouldn't dog on fucking Space Wolves too much this episode. Just damn it.
It's like, and this is the thing, like, I know we do it a lot, but they make it too easy.
They do. They've got literal Santa Claus on a fucking sled led by wolves, man. Like, how is that not funny?
It is funny.
People will stand here and try and defend him like he's some sort of saint, and it's like, no, it's big
I'll
fucking
defend Logan Grimnar. I like Logan Grimnar. He punched out a Grey Knight Grandmaster. That's fucking hilarious.
That is.
I love that
That
shit.
is hilarious. That is funny. But he has a sled that's led by 2 big fucking wolves, and he rides it into battle like nothing's wrong. Like, that's normal for him. That's his day-to-day 9 to 5, man.
That is an aesthetic, all right, and I'm gonna stand behind that aesthetic as a Swede, as certified Sweden man. I will stand beside this.
All I could think of is just Moots just instantly turning into the Da Vinci Bros. Like, that's how Swedish
Da Vinci.
No, what I'm trying to
I
say
love those two.
is this dude wakes up from like a bad day. The previous day he goes, I don't want to go on the fucking sled. If I see one more wolf, I'm going to kill myself. Fuck! And he gets on the sled and he does his job. But like, how is that not funny? How is that not silly as shit, man? Like,
That's just good old fashioned grimdark, That's the aesthetic we want.
That's his version of a hangover, man. Right?
I like having any little thing happen that's not anything interesting and just saying lore.
Lore.
I read the back of my cereal box and say lore.
Lore.
I love that when you forget your phone and you go to the toilet and you have to read the Bleach lore on the back of the Bleach ball.
I never watched Bleach.
Watashi wa no Soul Society.
I have another one that is a bit of a left field for a character death that I think could be really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying this because I dislike the character, because I don't actually dislike the character, even though I roast him a fair bit, and that's Mortarion.
Mortarion
could be interesting.
Yeah,
I almost feel like we almost got Mortarion's death at the end of Plague Wars. I almost feel like we almost had that when the Emperor was like, "Oh, I would take you back," but when he was talking through Gilliman and the Emperor, I'm paraphrasing here, the Emperor was like, "Oh, I could take you back, but I can't right now, my son." And then Mortarion gets snagged by Nurgle for a
Whoa!
Bleep out.
Bleep Aaron saying it out as well.
I repeat. Thank you.
The
Can you
old
bleep
Nurgle
Aaron?
reach around the dam.
Just to be clear. No, you get the point.
But no, I think Morty biting it, whether like we retcon the Plague Wars or if it's in a whole new story whatsoever, could do something I've really wanted since I started reading the Horus Heresy, and that was, I know, 10,000 years apart, but it doesn't really matter, and that, well, it doesn't matter to me at least, and that's seeing a greater stage for Typhus to step up to. I always thought Typhus was a much greater villain than Mortarion. I've always thought that since day one. Typhus is so much more, I think he's just so much more of a villain. I think Mortarion has like some depth of nuance to him as a reluctant individual who sort of convinced himself that what he's doing is the best thing to do for in one way or another. But Typhus is like straight up like, no, I'm a servant of Nurgle. Get the fuck out the way.
Yeah, no, he is straight up nefarious. Like
he is straight up nefarious. Yes, absolutely.
By all accounts, Mortarion is really a victim of Typhus.
Yes, actually of Typhus, no doubt. Yeah.
Well,
like Typhus.
Imagine being that guy that doomed your legion, not your Primarch, but like the guy, like just a Marine.
Yeah.
Like
I love as well that Typhus is unofficially half Xenos as well.
Yes, he's a but what are they called?
Overlord.
I think they just called them Necromancers.
Overlord. That's an Overlord.
Overlord was that? Oh, that was it. Not So it's like there's kind of some weirdness in there too with his origins that could be explored in some other way as well to just add to those character depths. So I think Typhus is just a really cool character, and it's much like why as well. Like we'll come back to Marneus Calgar biting it, because Marneus Calgar biting it again paves the way for Guilliman to step forward and be more center stage. And this is the crazy thing as well. Guilliman is center stage. Guilliman is like in so many books now. Guilliman is center stage, and I love Guilliman's character in 40k. I love Guilliman's character in 30k. I don't really like the Ultramarines that much in 40k, but I'm a huge Guilliman simp.
He's becoming kind of a main character almost. I would say, like, if you could even put a main character to the setting.
No. I think a lot of people feel that way as well. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think this is the thing about Marneus Calgar, because he kind of feels a little bit redundant. And I'm not saying that someone could turn around, they could argue, they could say, and they'd be right to say to an extent, well, any Ultramarines chapter master is going to feel that way. And say, yes, absolutely. However, not any Ultramarines chapter master is going to have several decades of books and lore behind them and then be made redundant. If we're going to have a redundant chapter master, then let's give a grand exit to the one that hasn't spent the last 20 years being redundant, Yeah.
To the one of the most beloved characters in the setting, new and old.
Yeah, and he goes, and if we're going to make him die, if my friend's theory is correct, and we're going to make him die in some Space Marine 2 DLC, the opportunity to have such a spectacular cinematic for that.
Oh, yeah.
A glorious cinematic of him being like, and it will be horrible as well. They'll 40kify it and make it grim as hell, but he'll still be there.
So many little Dark Age edits.
But he'll still be there with his gritted teeth and angry eyes as he goes, because that's Marneus Calgar.
Yeah.
I
think I'd like see him to see him die fighting Tyranids. I think that'd be pretty cool. Like
you reckon?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's that's where he lost his arms and his legs, and so it would be a fitting end for him to throw himself in the literal jaws of the Great Devourer and duke it out to the last fucking bitter end. I'd fuck with that.
Who's this?
Marneus Calgar.
Yes.
I mean, that could work. I mean, basically give him the kind of death. I mean, I think George from Halo Reach, but he actually fulfills that sort of
yeah. No, that's a George from Halo Reach died a salamander's death.
Yeah,
he did.
Yeah, truly.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of salamanders, I know it's a little bit off topic, but man, I'd love to see Sakan have a larger role in the lore as a salamander. I thought you were
just going to say bite the bullet, just like, damn. Maybe not the character I would think of, but,
My man's already...
What was that bit from Austin Powers? An unfortunate schmelting accident.
The thing is, Sakan's already lost his fucking meat beating hand, so I think he's lost enough as it is.
Meat beating.
Here's the problem for me.
Now he's got a meat beater for a hand. Small hammer.
Here's my main issue with Sakan, and it's not at all because of his character, but it's just because of his name. Because it's just I was watching
these.
Because because I was just watching the fucking show, and it just popped up. A friend of mine who's not very much into 40k just said, "Sakan, suck on these nuts," and I just
It's
Just
so
slowly
cheap.
turn to him.
It's so cheap.
So
It's so crap.
easy.
It's like the most low effort cringe, but it works.
Low hanging fruit.
Well, like it's completely ruined everything, like it all for me. Because then every time they just said his name, I was like, "Damn, all right."
We're all thinking it, but you don't say it.
Sakan. This dick. Then he's disappear into 1,000 bits of dust. Yeah.
Just grab him by the throat instantly. Just no, like Caesar from Planet of the Apes. No.
What's that mod for like Half-Life where instead of the opening cutscene, it's just G-Man just go fuck yourself, and then just goes into the game.
Leave the fucking city now.
No, I think I don't want Sakan to die. I think this is going to be kind of dumb. I wouldn't mind if Vulcan Histan died, just because no one's just because like the Salamanders haven't really had any. Oh,
no. Sorry, no, I was getting confused with Agaton, and I was like, "There's no way." No, yeah, fucking.
No, just because Histan hasn't had any development in like a decade plus, and it's it's crazy because Salamanders. Right, so there's a bunch of Space Marine chapters that are absolutely beloved, but are just generally forgotten about. The Raven Guard, who I'm pretty sure aren't even a real chapter at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure the Raven Guard is fan fiction.
No.
You know, the Iron Hands. So all the Shattered Legions, the Raven Guard, the Iron Hands, the Salamanders, the White Scars. They're not the Shattered Legions, but still. And it's like the thing with the Salamanders is, unlike the others, or at least to a much greater extent than the others, they're still just so beloved.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy to me how Games Workshop can have such an overwhelmingly beloved chapter, yet still be focusing on shit that no one cares about.
Quite literally.
Like,
well, I think it's important to note though that, like, well, at least for me, I chose perfectly characters not because, like, based on their like character development or something, because I still want to see those characters get their spotlight, right?
Yeah.
No, I mean, obviously I chose the fucking maybe the more obvious ones personally, but it's like, but they've had their characters arcs, they've had their moments to shine, and I feel like a character death is something very powerful, and I think it's important to note that it's not something you necessarily want to use just to get things moving. Like, otherwise it can feel very cheap.
Yeah.
Well, that's true, but it's like, it's never just to get things moving. You know, that's the implication of that from a narrative standpoint. If I were writing a narrative, or if you or someone was writing a narrative, that would be the implication that they've died at the start of the story. Whereas you and I both know when we're talking about Vulcan Histan dying, or Marneus Calgar dying, or any Space Marine character, Dante, any Space Marine character of note dying in any fashion, it would have to be, you know, glorious. Unless you were to take a character. Oh, could you imagine that? Imagine if they took Calgar and killed him ingloriously. Oh.
Yeah, that'd be
and now now I think about it, I'm kind of down for it.
Just Khan just fucking him up.
Khan just rocks up and just does him in.
Or Morty just fucking slicing him in two unceremoniously. Yeah,
just give him the fucking Mordhau treatment, 100%.
Or when Fulgrim
Mordhau treatment. He hits him with a fop laugh and then just
boots him to death with the back of a sword.
Imagine this for when Fulgrim returns and he gets his hands on Marneus Calgar.
Oh, that would be cool. Actually, if someone could like give a great hero of 40k an unceremonious death, and it would feel proper, it would be Fulgrim. Absolutely. Yeah. Holy cow. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, fucking Games Workshop, hit me up. I can
hit me up. I'm available for hire. now, boys. I think Lucius should die a horrible death. We're talking like sledgehammer 7 times to every joint. Horrible death.
I think,
but just the one. Then he comes back again.
I think Lucius should just like get himself in like a really horrible. Like, they should write the death of Lucius should just be like him, like building up towards like these really ridiculous situations where he's just dying over and over again, like in the most stupid, ridiculous ways over and over again, like basically the 1,000 ways to die in 40k or something.
I was just thinking it would be the Diavolo treatment. Yeah, literally that.
And then finally, at the end, it's just as right about as he's going to die, and he's like, all right, here we go again. Slaanesh just pulls the immortality away from him, and he actually dies.
He's shot with like a 22 Derringer.
Just gets crushed under a school bus or something, and that's
the game was rigged from the start as he takes the place of the carrier. No, I mean, there's some really good ways actually you could kill Lucius off, and it's just not to kill him; it's just to entomb him forever somewhere else.
He keeps falling into a spike pit over and over again.
Actually, that's genius. Like it's like Creed's death. It's a death narratively, but not really. Like literally, just let Trazyn get a hold of Lucius. Just let Trazyn get a hold of him, and boom, no one has to hear from Lucius ever again.
Everyone would be happy with that. Everyone.
Or slap him in that device from that one Hammer and Bolter animation. Gone forever. Like, just literally, just put him away. Like, just lock him away and throw away the key.
Or give him what we found out in that episode with Zarek when we were doing the Relics episode. Zap him with the interdimensional Admech taser.
What?
Do you guys not know about this? Okay, so we did this in the Relics episode. There is a Skitarii relic from a few years ago in one of the codexes, and it's literally a taser stick, and when you tase someone with it, they just get teleported to another dimension. Not the warp, not somewhere else in space, just an alternative dimension, and they get stuck there.
He just appears in the Denny's.
The Waffle House parking lot.
The Treehouse of Horror, where Homer gets these 3D and he's just, ooh, erotic cakes.
That'll do it. Yeah,
he lives a normal life. He becomes a really good guy. Like 5 years later, he's got like a nice little wife, and he's got like 2 adopted children.
He's learned to become a retail estate agent. He's got a full-time shop. He's holding it down real well.
Big fucking. He's got hair plugs and a nice like button up on.
And then gets dragged back into 40k randomly out of nowhere.
No,
my family.
He's got like a nice little crucifix necklace on him too. And he's like,
oh my God,
he's turned to Abrahamic religion.
After everything he's seen, he finally got his life turned around, and now he's just right back in the thick of it.
Oh God.
Oh my God.
I kind of feel sorry for him now, but they're trying to like slowly reintroduce. Who's the other Emperor's Children guy? The guy that got turned into a. Say again? Eidolon, that's it. Yeah, they turned Eidolon into a bit of. They crimped Eidolon a little bit.
Oh wow! Sorry, Moots. He already said one of the 2 Emperor's Children characters that weren't Fulgrim. It was an easy fucking guess.
I was about to say, well, there is, and then I couldn't think of anyone to name. There's others. I can probably sit here and think about it. I'm tired, all right? I'm sorry, Emperor's Children's fans. I know you have at least 3 characters.
2 of you. We got Moots here as well.
I actually don't dislike the Emperor's Children at all. It's just
I think they're creepy as I love their aesthetic. That's Slaanesh, old Slaanesh designs, and like I mean, again, this is my horrible world of going into old world Warhammer painting. I have been searching endlessly because that old Slaanesh design, or the old Slaanesh designs, you cannot. There's nothing like it. It's so good. It's so creepy.
Oh man, have you seen the old edition? You seen the old edition Noise Marine artworks?
Oh yeah, they're wonderful.
They're absolutely immense. They're the most eldritch looking Space Marines, even more so than the Death Guard. Like they're actually great. They're actually really, really great. And that's hopefully with the new Emperor's Children stuff, we see more of that. I have a really icky feeling though, based on what we've seen so far, that the new Emperor's Children stuff is going to be very clean.
Well, I mean, they the way they teased it, I think they sort of bring it back to what I really like about the Slaanesh Marines, which is like that sort of Adrian Smith looking art, the one I just posted now.
Oh, I haven't found it yet. Is it the one of the? Yeah, it is. Yeah, the black armor, the full black armor, where his belly's on show and his face looks like something worse than a xenomorph. Yeah.
It's the Cenobite style.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Evil. I would rather. There's the sister battle where the noise marine is shushing her from behind. One of my favorite pieces of art ever.
The fact that old Slaanesh is literally Leviathan is great.
Yeah.
that makes me happy. That makes me really happy. But,
isn't that old? Old. What am I saying? Isn't that the piece you talked about, Mish? I think that's a reference to like a cover for like a fucking, what was it, Batgirl comic? I think, where but like it was like Joker standing beside her, or behind her, or something like that.
The Jonkler.
It might, the Jingler. Yeah. Let's just derail it with that, actually. I like that better. I was going to say, it's kind of reminiscent to the oh, Jesus. Was it no, it's not the Killing Joke.
Oh, the Killing Joke. That's what it's based on.
That's the one where he has the camera.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I think I came to think about it. Or I think about it every time I see that, because the cover where he's standing behind Batwoman, like doing the hush thing, or like got like banned or something. I don't know. They decided like, right, we're not gonna. Fucking now I can't stop thinking about the Jonkler meets absolute Batman.
Is he stupid?
Yep.
Yes.
Sorry.
And this is where I self-promo. I mean, I made old Noise Marines using the old resin kits. That was one of my happiest kit bashes I did this year. Was I mean, that old art style is so, I don't know. I am
iconic.
coping. I'm coping a little bit. Sorry, everyone.
Wonderful. No, but it's wonderful. I would love to go back to that style, because like that's to me like that Adrian Smith or Chaos Space Marine art is so fucking iconic. At least it's to me what like a lot of that shit. Oh, that art slaps. Yeah. Who's this by now again? I forget what they're called.
Now, what notes do you think he hit to that man?
That's the brown noise, right?
The brown noise.
Yeah, see all the dirt around him. That ain't dirt, boy.
Would you gentlemen like me to remind you of the utterly stupidest bit of Noise Marine lore?
Okay, sure.
There was once an Iron Hand.
Oh yeah, I know this one. Yeah, okay.
who was exposed to something or other. Anyways, long story short, his ears went, nope, we're not working anymore. And he had to go to battle again before he could get implants to his ears. So he was going on like neural signals and fucking hand signs to communicate, which is fine. He's a space marine. That's not really going to slow him down too much. And he comes into contact with the Noise Marine who was responsible for him losing his hearing, if I recall correctly. And this guy blasted him with like a sonic blast. And for the purpose of this paragraph, in the entire setting, forgot that Noise Marine explosions were actual explosions and just decided, no, it was just sound. And the guy went, sorry, I can't hear you, and then proceeded to kill the Noise Marine with a Volkite cannon.
I'm just imagining like the sound of his cheeks flapping from the just like that. And he's just burning a hole in his head like Woody in Toy Story.
Absolutely terribly silly lore. But sorry, moving on. There is one more character death I'd like to play around with that we really should play around with.
I'm all ears.
That's Dante.
Live forever. He's gonna live forever.
I think it's too easy.
You think?
He's the oldest boy around, but he doesn't die. That's his whole shtick. Is he's like a living depression helpline. Like,
I feel like the Blood Angels have good characters that, especially when you read the Devastation of Baal. The Blood Angels have characters that I feel in that book, in that story, could be given the opportunity to shine more. And I feel like a lot of Blood Angels characters are lacking the ability to shine because of the existence of Mephiston and Dante.
Blood Angels have like a proper ensemble of characters.
They do.
Yeah. Look back, they have a lot of good characters.
If you look in the 8th edition codex for them, there's actually about, I think, 10 plus pages of just characters for them.
Yeah.
That all have rules. And including 2 different versions of the same guy. Brother something rather, before and after the Black Rage.
Tycho.
Yeah, there's like 2 or 3 different Tychos, which is funny. But with the Blood Angels, sorry, I just want to throw it in. I think they're all expecting him to kick the bucket at any point in time. So his death would be very unconsequential to them because, hey, look, he's, 1,000 years old or something stupid?
About 1,500, give or take.
Mephiston has been waiting on the bench for a long time to hop in as, like, chapter master or whoever else.
Mephiston will never get chapter master.
Mephiston dies unexpectedly instead.
Whichever very significant high-ranking Blood Angel character is sat there with his little basketball jersey on, waiting to go. Like, I really don't think it would do much. Cool, sure, he's a cool character who's super significant because he's the oldest guy around. But I don't think him dying is going to do too much.
No,
let's hear him out. Let's hear him out because we haven't given him a chance to actually explain.
This is true.
Well, I'm all just wanting to explore it rather than actually make a case for his death because the thing is, his as like Aaron's saying, his whole shtick is that he doesn't die, and I think, especially because Dante now has, it's quite funny. Dante is the only character in 40k that has, at least in a small way, a relationship with both Guilliman and the Lion. And so he really is a mirror of Sanguinius.
Yeah,
especially when you think about the Imperium Secundus, how the Imperium Secundus was Guilliman, the Lion, and Sanguinius, and now the Imperium now, as it is this very minute at the end of Son of the Forest and the end of Arcs of Omen with Angron getting his fucking face caved in, is like the Imperium is standing on the backs of the Lion, Guilliman, and Dante, the sort of, the son of Sanguinius, the greatest son of, probably the greatest space marine to have ever lived, who is, coincidentally, basically just Sanguinius. I feel like as well, he's got this whole thing that is to mirror Sanguinius, and there would be no better way to mirror Sanguinius than to fucking die.
Get him killed off by Abaddon or something.
Something actually ceremonious.
Here's an idea that I think is, I don't mean to do self-promotion, but so I did actually start writing
Patron mentioned?
Slap this man in the nuts. No! You know the deal.
Mina nuts. No. Anyway.
I hit him in the much.
There was, I think like it was 2 years ago or something like that, I had like a Patron suggestion for a monthly drawing, which was just like, what if Baal was eaten by the Tyranids?
Yes, I like this one.
I think so. Like, if we are going to kill Dante, which I don't think is necessarily a terrible idea, I think we'd have to roll back the tape a bit and kill them during the devastation of Baal. Have like the majority of all Blood Angels and their successor chapters die in that moment, because and have, as I would do it, or as I was like planning on continuing on that AU, I suppose that story would be with Gabriel Seth taking over as becoming as being the like one of the few surviving like Blood Angel successors, would be the by default the chapter master of the Blood Angels and would become the bearer of the torch, so to say, in this terrible new future where the fucking Tyranids have gotten Primarch biomass.
Oh god.
I mean, if GW has a sense of humor, they'll bring him back in a dreadnought because it's funny. It'd be horrible, but it'd be funny.
Just 10 minutes later, we did it, we finally, and then he just dropped down. I'm back, baby.
And then you've got depression personified walking around in a killing machine, and that's fun. You can go have tea with Bjorn or something. Like, that's it.
Bjorn, what is it?
But I feel like there's another angle to explore here too, and that's the sort of both the spiritual kind of devastation that would happen within the Blood Angels if he did die, but maybe more importantly, when Sanguinius died, there was a psychic ripple that spread throughout, the Blood Angels, causing the sort of curse of the Black Rage. I suspect if Dante bit the dust, there would be some sort of psychic ripple as well. He's been around for so long. He is known to all Blood Angels and all known Blood Angel successors. He is like literally the Blood Angel. He is the son of Sanguinius. I think there could be a fun narrative there. You know, I don't know what it could be. I don't know if it wouldn't be on the same level of Sanguinius, obviously, but I feel like his death and some sort of fallout for that, how it could alter the Black Rage in some way or add to it or take away from it, yada yada. I feel like there's a really, really good, exploration there. And there's also the idea of because he's been around for so long, it's hard to say who would succeed him. I mean, I don't think it would be Mephiston, because Mephiston's a fucking a librarian, and librarians leading chapters is a bad idea. But there's Karl, who has been a huge character for decades. When you think of Blood Angel Terminators, you think of Karl. He's the Blood Angel Terminator. Not to mention, imagine if Dante did bite the dust. Can you think about how much crap would happen across the Imperium Nihilus?
Yeah.
Like, a narrative for him to die would also be a narrative in which Nihilus is getting even worse, know?
Yeah.
And we could get another scene where he gets to reunite wholesomely with Sanguinius in death.
Yeah.
Do I have my two Space Marines kissing image? Let me get that for you. Pull that up.
And that's for our chapter master kissing tier list. That's
I don't know if we should have a picture of a Space Marine kissing his father, even though he's like,
oh, that's a good point. That's a really good point.
Even though he's
really good point.
Almost 3 times older than his father ever got to.
Put that up and pretend there's no context behind it. It's just a funny image.
It's a little bit dicey. I mean,
I'm frowning.
You can kiss your father on the lips if you want to. I'm just saying.
You kiss your father on the mouth.
You don't. You just don't. I don't know if you want to. I don't know if you want to post pictures of it on the internet. Oh, you've posted the thing, haven't you? Oh, okay.
Oh no, I'm afraid to look.
There you go, Lackey. You can put that fucking cursed shite on the screen.
Hey.
Thank you, Mish, for this wonderful, wonderful image.
There it is.
You're just jealous. Here, Moots, you know what? I'm going to be even nicer. Here, have the line art, Moots. Have fun with that.
Yeah.
Well, you've given Moots the line art for it. Oh, no.
This is a powerful tool.
Have we got the one that of you and Alex, Tom? Do we have that available?
No, thank God.
I think we're decimating his sanity right now. There's like tears welling in his eyes right now.
I would move on to another character, but that was my list of 3. Mooch, you've got like 3 more, please. Get us away from this topic so I can live.
So Alex and Tom sitting in a tree.
Help.
I think I killed Tom.
He's clenching his teeth. They're gonna pop out of his skull like in Kill Bill. They're just gonna.
No, it's more of like a shutdown. It's more of a shutdown, I think, than a rage.
He's going non-verbal, guys.
Yeah. I think I'm dying.
You have been for a while, man. You haven't seen it.
We're all creepy, dying. Like patting on the head. It's okay.
The Star Trek gif of like Picard holding his head. It's kind of like that. Can we please move on, Moots? I'm begging you, man.
Can we please move on?
Well, okay. So I want to bring up then a bit more of a sweeping point. So I sort of lied to you, Tom, because I told you I had a Primarch on the list. What I actually meant was all the Primarchs, because.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's one way to shake up the thing.
Yep, let's if we want to make it real easy for us, let's just say they're all dead. They're dead even before the fucking in like everything with the fucking Indomitus Crusade and all of that. That all of that.
So this is like a Dornian heresy. What if? Okay.
Well, I mean, that's the easiest option, right? We just say all the Primarchs are dead. We're going back to pre-8th edition Warhammer.
only in 2016, this was the norm.
Yeah,
this was how it was and how it had been for a very long time. Mm-hmm. It's so weird because when I talk to the old guard, people who've been into fortification like in eternity, I think the most common complaint is the return of the Primarchs, because the Primarchs being a thing of myth was like, for the longest time, the Primarchs being a thing of myth was so pivotal to the identity of Space Marines.
Yeah,
and they're not things of myth anymore at all.
Yeah. Well, that's sort of how I feel about Custodes. I don't like Custodes at all.
That's the same logic. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I do like Custodes. I like that. Apart from the, as we spoke about week before last, with the exception of the Alaris Terminators, I think Custodes are wonderfully visually designed.
Oh, no doubt.
There was a mystery to them, an idea of, hey, these guys are able to just absolutely dunk on Space Marines. And
that's
again, back to 15, 20 years ago, the idea of saying that was like, wow, this must be awesome. And now it's not a mystery anymore. Now we have books describing Custodes in combat. It's very real now. It's there's no mystery there. We know exactly how that works. Although there is still loads of mystery in how Custodes are created. We know where their recruits come from, but that's actually it. Like, it's just described as gene-forged alchemy. That's all we know about the creation of Custodes, that it's gene-forged alchemy. And that's enough. To me, that's great. I'll take that.
Same.
And there's me over here who just, I don't know. I know they are fundamentally different in so many levels. But what they just feel like to me? They feel like that kid that you wanted to kick the ass of on the playground that took your idea, but yours is more powerful. Like, it's just, I cannot shake that feeling where it's like, you have Space Marines? Well, I have super duper Space Marines. Yeah, I'm going to spinning back fist you in the trachea. Like, shut up. Like, how about that? It feels like a copycats game. And I get it. I know that's not exactly what it is. I just can't shake that feeling. There's just something about them. They work better as background art.
Well, this is the thing. As a mystery, it works. Because as a mystery, as a force that you never get to see, that you just know about, leaves room for doubt. And leaves room for exaggeration, leaves room for everything. So you can kind of get past it. You can kind of get over the whole one-upping. Because on one hand, they are one-upping. On the other hand, they might not even be real. They're just this thing that apparently exists in the palace, And so with that gone, it's very functional now, how they are. Although I will say you got to think, you look at the Astartes animation, and you get to see the idea of a Space Marine moving, the weight and the impact of a Space Marine in combat. And now you've got to imagine someone who can do that, but like times 2.5. And it's like, I can't quite comprehend that, because Space Marines are kind of like, we're coming close to like the Saiyan arc of Dragon Ball Z at that point. We're really getting into the Saiyan arc.
Yeah.
When it comes to Custodes, minus the ability to fly.
Right.
I'd love someone to tell me what Custodian's power level is.
Well, they can't key blast, man, so clearly very low. Clearly very low.
That's true. I think so.
Yeah, Raditz would mop the floor with them.
Can they
talk about character death that was meaningless?
Oh yeah,
they never brought him back. They never talked about him after that.
No, because he was as strong as a Cyberman. He was trash.
Yeah, but he was your brother. You don't talk about your long lost brother that comes back and then you kill him.
Wait till you find out about Vegeta's brother.
Your brother. If your brother you never met came to your world, threatened to kill your son after kidnapping him and everyone else you loved, and an attempted kidnapping anyway, you wouldn't really call him your brother at that point. You just fucking kill him.
Yeah, but I think you would talk about it. You'd bring it up in conversation or something. I don't know.
I think if we're going to talk about Dragon Ball Z, we have to talk about what would happen to Nappa's mustache if he went Super Saiyan 3. Right. That's the only conversation worth having
here. Grows, man.
It'd be like a Dr. Eggman mustache. It'd be like
handlebars. I could kill a man. Has anyone seen Bo before?
What the fuck about? Did you just say to me?
Oh, slowly buries you.
Let me find this. Bo.
Get away from.
There we go.
I know what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about.
What?
Now I seem schizophrenic. I loved that show as a kid.
Bo is a anime about a giant henchman.
Oh my god, it's this guy!
With magical nose hair. Yeah,
magical nose.
Such a good show.
It's called Bo. It's so fucked to watch now.
Isn't this the fucking show where they have like someone opening a door and like a bald guy just like says, "Get these funny letters away from me" or something like that? Isn't that the one?
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like because it just pops up like I think Japanese, text in front of me.
Yes, it's the kanjis. Yeah,
yeah. And
because it's one of those shows like Chowder or regular show where we'll go from normal art set to just fucking.
what the fuck?
Oh,
what the
fridge seeing me come back for the 5th time today. Waiting for.
I never saw this as a kid. This is my only exposure to this movie.
Well, no, you're Swedish, so you got her dogado.
Oh, yes, of course. How silly of me. You're right.
This is really what happens when Mishmash joins. We do this. We bring up things that fever dreams from my past. You like reached into my soul and pulled that one out. I haven't thought about that. I remember playing Cartoon Network's awesome
their website
games that they had on their website. There was one game where they had for that show where it was just basically Punch Out, but you use your nose hairs. So it would make like a whoosh every time.
Oh, I played the shit out of the Ben 10 game. The top down game where you ran around. Yeah, that shit was fucking fire.
Billy and Mandy. They had a lot of goodness me.
It's quite funny. I remember when I was a kid, I remembered feeling super elitist about the Cartoon Network website games because I always thought the Flash games on Newgrounds and Miniclip was so much better.
What I would give to about
what I would give to have the urge to go back in time and play Club Penguin.
Oh my god.
Man, I miss Club Penguin, bro. That shit's gone. It got bought out by Disney and got deleted, if I recall correctly.
Oh, really?
We should delete Disney. We should.
We should just Disney. Please just give me Club Penguin back. I'd like to play the pizza making mini game where I could put candy on pizza.
Fucking Disney
Ninja Turtle shit.
Disney, please give us Club Penguin 2, and my life is yours. Oh no.
But to answer your question, Tom, that's what Nappa does with his Super Saiyan hair and mustaches.
Yes,
controlling
I think we're there.
Well,
that's a great idea.
So rolling back to what we were talking about, could Tian beat a custodian?
Yeah, he could. Yeah, Kikoho. Yeah.
It does 40,000 damage in Sparking Zero, man. Do you know how much damage that fucking is?
It does. Holy shit!
He took down Imperfect Cell with that. So I think Imperfect. I mean, he was.
No, it was Imperfect Cell, and
it was Imperfect Cell, but it was still.
Oh yeah, like he ruined his day, but like. I don't know. If you think about it, Cell could probably be a custodian because it's Cell. He's perfect.
Yeah,
that's what he does.
This is a cool conversation. This is. I'm sure the listeners are now like.
I'm sure the comments.
They're checking the title to remember what the idea of the topic.
Well, I think the problem is that over the last couple of anyone who's listening still, if the Dragon Ball Z talk didn't force you to check out, the thing is the AA podcast has been known for a very long time now for going off topic, and I think for the last however many episodes, you've made a really good effort to try and stay on topic. Until this episode.
There we go again. I'm not a monkey wrench. I am the wrench. I'm fucking tearing up books and knocking down bookshelves.
That's okay.
I was streaming Space Marine 2 with Andy and Crackduck, and I think someone in the chat said this is the most ADHD conversation I've ever heard, and that's I think that sums up pretty much anything. When we're going, we're just whatever. Okay, let's see where this goes.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Listen, it's our thing.
Is
it a good thing? Jerry's still out. It's our thing.
You don't like it.
Still out. It's got us this far. It's a roll with it.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Right. I have no more character deaths I want to discuss on my list. Do you guys want to move on to some Patreon questions, or should we just talk about Dragon Ball Z for a bit?
Dragon Ball Z. So
I never actually hold up. Talk about Dragon Ball. I went to Comic.
Actually
This is something I'm very happy has happened, and it's affected my real life as well.
Oh fuck!
So when I went to Comic-Con recently, I met a couple of mates, or friends of friends, and now I'm mates with them. But we ended up divulging into just doing nothing but like perfect cell voices until like 2 a.m. at one point. So we were just in our hotel room thinking about what sort of stupid shit perfect cell would say in them one day. And it would be shit like slur. No, I said it perfectly, and shit like that. And it just devolved, and it went on and on and on and on because it just ended. And if you could end it, you could end anything perfectly or throw in perfectly anywhere. Like it was just limitless potential. So now we've got a group chat called the Perfect Group Chat with a high D resolution picture of Cell's face, and we're gonna do a triple Perfect Cell basketball team cosplay next year, and go around and harass people a little bit. It should be great.
Harass
and
people, just whip stones at them.
But we just post exclusively entirely fucked Dragon Ball memes in this group chat on Instagram now. It's a good time.
I got another one for you. How about that? I saw that earlier today.
Oh my god.
We did Beerus as well, actually. It was lots of 50-50s between like Lego Beerus, just Wheeze.
I can't do
a friend maker.
I can't do a Beerus voice. Could someone like say this out loud so we can have some context for this on the screen?
Wheeze. I can't touch. Hi, Wheeze. Hello, me Beerus. Welcome.
It seems you're a friend. Wheeze, get the friend maker. And it was just shit like that.
Wheeze do the thug shaker? Is that what I just heard?
Or
did I just hear what I wanted to hear?
You heard what you wanted to hear, but that applies as well. That's entirely been possibility of what Beerus does.
God.
All right, let's move on to some patron questions.
Okay, sure. Bonsoir, mes chéris. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you got this far, why don't you hit that like, smash the subscribe button, and rock that bell before you check out our other social medias, like Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. And if you're feeling extra saucy tonight, why don't you hop on over to our Patreon where you can help steer our content. And finally, join our Discord where you can talk to me and the rest of the gang. Alright, take care now and see you next time. Au revoir.
What do you guys think of Super Broly versus Z Broly?
No, we'll talk about this after we've done the recording, you absolute troglodyte.
Z Broly is superior. Alright,
And I agree. Super Broly, they just substitute this
Alright,
dialogue.
fuck you, fine, we're having this conversation. Z Broly is a fucking crack addict, mental case, basket, violent fucking anus.
What do you expect?
I'd say Z Broly over Super Broly if it wasn't for the other two fucking Broly movies. You wanna go watch them?
You don't like Trash Broly or whatever it was?
I don't like
Bio Broly.
Bio Broly, yeah.
What the fuck is Bio Broly? Wait, what? I don't know about this.
It is very, very awful. Yeah, that's the last one.
Yeah,
and it's not even Broly. It's just literally like a pile of literally just somebody's like sewage drain got unclogged and that thing came out and they just, well, that's Broly, obviously.
Who thought of this?
It's
all right, patron questions. Patron questions. So today we have 2 patron questions. One is from Amor Mortis, and he asks, would you rather be a rogue trader, inquisitor, or space marine? If rogue trader, what questionable Xenos would be in your retinue? If inquisitor, which order? And if space marine, which chapter? Loyalist or chaos? So, the answer to that is probably a rogue trader or an inquisitor. I wouldn't want to be a space marine. I've learned too much about civilian life that I enjoy. I wouldn't want to be a space marine. So, probably a rogue trader. Just freedom. What's questionable Xenos would be in my retinue?
For you, it would be the orangutan aliens.
Yeah.
Jacaros.
I'd probably get one of the
The Jacaros.
Jacaros, yeah.
Wisecracking sidekick.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
He'd have a habit for making car bombs, presumably.
He's a little Irish orangutan.
Oh my.
What about you guys? What would you be?
So I've been playing a bit of Rogue Trader in my other Deathwatch campaign. So and it's so much fun being the biggest bitch but the freest bitch in the whole party. And out of all of that, Rogue Trader is easily the best choice. You can get the money, you can get the moolah
Money.
and I would have a Harlequin mime just to have comedic silent conversations with because it'd be funny.
Well, I'm so happy that you mentioned that because I was gonna say a Rogue Trader, and I would also want a Harlequin, but more so for the Clusy than anything else. Anyway, Mish, what would you choose?
When I was at Comic-Con,
help!
When I was at
No. You leave him alone. Leave him alone. Back off.
Mish got my back.
What else? I'm sorry. I need to press.
There were girls who had you could buy these things that would literally be like squeaky tits. So you'd poke them and back.
Well, yeah.
They're great.
I mean, what else do you want out of the guy? I mean, what the question is, do I want to be? I live for possibly forever and die a horrible death. Do I become a bureaucrat, or do I become a badass space pirate bounty hunter doing whatever I want, and I get to hang around a bunch of hot alien women? What the hell? What kind of question is that? I'm sorry.
Right? See, this man sees the greater picture.
With just innocent men.
It's just literally Fry at the beginning of Futurama. Like, we get to travel across the stars and teach alien women to love. That's exactly all you gotta do. I mean, die in agony or do that.
Okay, next patron question. We cannot talk about the fucking pussy. This is not happening again. I am moving us forward.
I didn't say I was going for that.
They're sick in their head.
No, Moots did, and he's still thinking about it. So moving on. Our next question comes from Lefurius, and Lefurius asks, of all of the original Space Marine chapters/legions, so the first founding, which has the most gremlin energy?
Night Lords.
First founding.
Chapters or legions?
Will it be the legions? It would be the legions.
Okay.
I'd say the Night Lords. Those fucking absolute gremlin fucking fuckers.
They have no whimsy. No, they have no whimsy.
Well, what do you mean they have no whimsy? They have lots of whimsy. Like the fucker who just started running after the guy and telling him, you don't run. It only makes me want to kill you more, or something like that.
That's negative whimsy, dude. All right,
that's negative whimsy.
I was gonna say Death Guard because they stank, but Death Guard guys are like the most they're just it's just a bunch of doomers. Like it's just like okay,
it is a bunch of doomers.
You guys are hard to talk to. I can't reach you. I would say Emperor's Children.
Honestly, nah, the fucking Ultramarines, because that one Ultramarine who got in trouble with his sergeant because they were stuck floating around in the vacuum of space. And he said, brothers, we float from a crag. I think Gremlin energy is a low key thing. I think Gremlin energy is an overture, an undertone. It's a simple thing. I don't think the Night Lords have gremlin energy. They have fucking gremlin disease.
They're twisted psychopaths.
I know who it fucking is. It's the White Scars. Because they're just there going and their fucking bikes. They like their fucking speed. They're simple men.
The White Scars actually don't care, to be fair.
No, they just want to go fast. They're just like, yeah, hell yeah, bikes, dude. Hell yeah.
I mean, when White Scars...
Okay.
When White Scars talk to people, they genuinely don't give a shit. Like during the Heresy, the White Scars gave zero fucks. Their Primarch literally, he didn't literally say, but their Primarch basically said, I don't know what's going on, so I'm going to let it play out for a bit before I decide to do anything during the Heresy. If that's not Gremlin energy, I don't know what is.
The only fuck I've seen White Scars give is in that one little bit of fan art of like the Carcharodon riding a shark, and there's like one White Scar talking to another one of his hands. Like, are you fucking kidding me? The fuck is that? Like, so it's not even a canonical fuck that's given. It's just
Yeah, I think my answer, Lefurious, my answer is the White Scars. It has to be. I just love the White Scars, man. Their Primarchs great. They're great. They give no shits. You know. There was even a funny. I can't remember. I gotta find it. There was a funny conversation between a White Scar and a White Scars Dreadnought, which is a hilarious thing to be.
I didn't even visualize a White Scars Dreadnought until you said that. I don't know why.
I imagine
No one's able to. It's not real. It's like the Raven Guard. It doesn't exist.
I imagine that to be some sort of Metal Gear.
A Metal Gear.
Shut up. You're right.
Tell me I'm wrong.
You're not allowed to say that.
Venus.
Right, gentlemen, let's draw the episode to a close here.
It's a good cutoff point.
So, thank you very much, Mish, for joining us once again, you dastardly little animal.
I didn't say who I wanted to die or should die. That's the best part.
Didn't you?
Nope.
I thought you wanted Moots to die.
No, Pongor, obviously. But we'll get into Pongor another time.
Right.
Fucking Pongor. I love that guy. Why do you want him dead?
What do you mean?
Oh, you wanted to talk about Pongor. I forgot.
Pongor?
Yeah, it's okay. We can say that for another time.
Yeah, he's like
we can do an episode on
third edition.
We can do an episode on Pongor.
Early second ed, actually, but they developed his character on third ed.
I mean, like, he didn't have that great of a character arc, in my opinion. Like, so, I mean, would be sort of a waste to kill him off.
I mean, he didn't have that great of a growth spurt, man, but I'm not criticizing you.
We're cutting close to the end. We'll talk about him another time. Just drop it.
We'll talk about Pongor another time. That's fine. We'll get a whole episode on Pongor, even. We need to get some artwork for Pongor.
Drop it.
Anyways, thank you all once again for listening to this absolute shit show. Thank you, Mish, for joining us and enlightening us once more about the wonders of the core. Thank you, Moots, for joining us again, and goodbye, Aaron.
I should say this now that it's official. My last little plug for Quor. The official Mishmash Quor characters are now out by the time of this recording.
Exceptional. Wonderful. Well, tell you what, if you've got any links you can send me, I'll put them in the description for when this goes up.
Absolutely.
I'll put them in the description, so if anyone's interested. So yes, so Quor, the Quor boy over here. Thank you all once again for watching. If you enjoyed the podcast and you want to help out, please take a quick look at the Patreon. Much like the outro says. Moots, you are doing the outro this time. So thank you all very, very much for watching. We will see you next time. Goodbye.
Tom, we're going to change from Guagua to Quor.
Mishmash, eat ass, and die in agony. And you're gonna.